Okay, Dave, so let's talk about what should be my perfect golf swing, right? So I always like to say, first of all, let's understand how the body works, right? When you take a swing, there are certain joints in your body that are very good at moving.
Yep.
We call them mobile joints,
Yep.
right? Hip range of motion, right? Hips are so important for being able to get in good posture and be able to get good range of motion.
Absolutely.
Spine should be able to rotate a lot. Shoulder range of motion, wrist range of motion. And there's certain joints that should be stable, right?
Right.
So when you go through a golf swing, as you start to rotate, that hip mobility, spine mobility, shoulder mobility, wrist mobility, very important to be able to get into any position you want to get into. If somebody said to me, like, what should my swing look like? Well, the first thing I would need to know is, can you do all those
How
things?
do you move?
Those joints really still move,
Yep.
right? So in other words, because if, let's say your hip doesn't move very well, well then I can show you 13 different ways to swing around that problem, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing that we do at TPI is we physically assess what you're capable of.
Yeah, we want to know what you look like, right? So I think the big thing there, Greg, is that it's so important, especially for me as an instructor, to understand how my student moves, because I'm about to ask you to do something, load into the hip, get your arms up high to create more speed and power. But if you can't physically do that, you're going to hit a wall. And I think this becomes the biggest frustration for most golfers who are trying to get better. They're asked to do something by well-meaning professionals, but they can't physically do it because no one's ever bothered to look at their function to determine if they can do that. And that's why we built this army of people out there that you can go to and have this assessment done.
And it only takes 5 minutes
Yeah.
to do this. It's really quick. And like you said, there is nothing more frustrating than knowing what I'm supposed to do, but not being able to do it. And
Exactly.
how often have you had the same problem over and over again? You can't stop it, and you know where the problem is, and you're like, I just don't understand. Why can't I do this? When you say things like that, that's the sign that there's probably something physically wrong, that you can't physically do it.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously here at our facility, we deal with some of the best players in the world. But with our education, we've built this army of experts around the world, 30,000 people, where you can go and get the same movement screen that the best players in the world do. Don't think they're different from you. Some of the best players in the world don't move any better than you, but they figured out how to use the skills they do have to become who they are. And you can do that as well.
Why guess when you can assess, right?
Totally.
Get started with the screen.